Hi class, this is course 2, lesson 25, dividing fractions. Now, I think this is going to be review, so we will go through this fairly quickly. How many 1/4 are in 1? I am going to let you answer that question for me. This should be review, you should know. How many 1/4 are in 1? That is its reciprocal, 4. If you take a look at 1 whole, and you want to know how many quarters are in 1 whole unit, so you divide it into fourths. Did you hear what I said? You divide. You take 1 and you divide into fourths. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. What you did here was 1 divided by 1/4. And you know, I think you know keep, change, flip, or keep, flip, change, and you take 1 times its reciprocal, 4 ones, and that equals 4. Okay, remember to change division to multiplication and flip the divisor, right? We've talked about multiplying by the reciprocal, which is what you're doing. So you keep the first, 3/4, change the sign, times, and then flip or invert the second fraction, the divisor, and then you multiply. And if you can simplify first, you do that. And in this case, you cannot. So 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now, this is not an acceptable answer because it is improper. So, work out the division. 8 will go into 15 how many times? It's 1. 1 times 8 is 8, and subtract. So you get 1 whole and 7 out of 8. Remember, that's the remainder is your numerator. The divisor becomes your denominator. So 3/4 divided by 2/5 is 1 7/8. On our next example, we have 7/8 divided by 1/4, and we will keep the first fraction, change the sign, and multiply by the reciprocal. So hopefully you notice that there is some division that we can do first. Right, we can divide out like factors. We have a 4 and an 8. So we're going to divide the 4 by 4 and the 8 by 4, and then multiply, leaving us with 7/2, which is improper again. So we need to simplify. 2 will go into 7 how many times? 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract, you get 1 remainder out of 2 groups. So 3.5 is your answer there. The last thing is something a little bit new, but remember that in a fraction the numerator represents the part and the denominator represents the whole. Okay, so I'm going to write a fraction down here. It's part over whole. Okay, that's what a fraction is. It's what portion do you have, or what part do you have out of the whole amount. So here's a story problem. Sarah has a ribbon that is 3/4 of a yard long. She used 1/2 of a yard to wrap a package. What fraction of the ribbon did she use? Okay, so here's where you have to start thinking what fraction. So we're going to divide, right? It says fraction, so we need to think division. Or we need to think what is the part and what is the whole. Okay? So what is the part? She has a ribbon that is 3/4 of a yard long. Okay? Is that the part or is that the whole? Well, you might not know. But she used 1/2 of a yard to wrap a package. Okay, so she has, the part that she used was 1/2 of a yard, and the whole was 3/4 3/4. So you're finding what fraction did she use. Now, here's the thing. You aren't done. This right here is a compound fraction. Okay, now think of where you've heard the term compound to describe something. I want you to write in your notes a couple of options with the word compound fraction to help you remember fractions. So it's compound fraction. Where else do you hear the word compound? You are going to share this in class, what you came up with. Okay? So let's go back to our fraction and solve this. So to solve, this is really 1/2. Fraction bar means divided by 3/4. Okay? So let's solve this. Keep the first fraction, change, and multiply by its reciprocal. So that's going to give you, let's see, we can divide here, so 1 and 2, 2/3, and this was of a yard. So if she had used 1/2 of the yard to wrap a package and she had 3/4 of a yard to start with, she used 2/3 of her ribbon. Okay? Oh, I guess that's not a yard. Sorry about that. I should have read the question carefully. She did not use 2/3 of a yard. She used 2/3 of her ribbon. So let's label that 2/3 of the ribbon. Okay, so 1/2 is 2/3 of 3/4. Okay, that's it. This may end up creating some problems for you. Just remember that it is part out of the whole. Part is the numerator, whole is the denominator, and then that should help you out. But if you have questions, please feel free to ask. And remember to have your ideas so you can share this in class. I'll see you then.